Nebraska medical marijuana advocates are confident the third time is the charm. That's right. Advocates for medical marijuana officially launched their campaign Wednesday to place the issue on the 2024 ballot, filled with confidence the third time will finally be the charm. Krista Eggers, I don't believe any relation to Chris Eggers, campaign manager for Nebraska for medical marijuana, has worked on the drive during each of the last two attempts to support her 9-year-old son, Colton, a third grader who has epilepsy and seizures, severe seizures. But she and other advocates are maintaining that after two failed drives, the day is coming soon when she'll be able to tell her son, "We did it." In a quote, "I do know that day will come when I get to tell him, and that he will understand that by sharing something that's very personal and very painful. He helped make a change. Someday there will be a patient that I get to talk to, and they won't have to have had this battle anymore," Eggers said. "It will be worth it for that one patient that does not have to face what so many of us have had to face," she says. This year's drive includes two separate measures, the Patient Protection Act and the Medical Cannabis Regulation Act. The first would protect patients and caregivers. The other would set the regulatory environment. The campaign anticipates it will need at least 87,000 verified voter signatures on each measure, but is seeking many more as a buffer. If enough valid signatures are gathered by July 3rd, the measure would be placed before voters on November 5th in 2024. Last year, Nebraskans for medical marijuana co-chaired the state Senate, co-chaired by State Senator Anna Wishart, a former State Senator Adam Moorfield, both of Lincoln, did not collect signatures from 5% of voters in at least 38 of Nebraska's 93 counties in 2020. A medical marijuana initiative qualified for the ballot, but the Nebraska Supreme Court ruled it violated the state's single subject rule. The campaign cited the death of a major donor last year as a reason it fell short of the county-level signatures, and this time the campaign is starting earlier than before and focusing on the 38-county requirement with hopes more time will aid the group regardless of funding. Wishart said the campaign aims to meet the county's requirement by year's end. If not, she said, a huge chunk of counties will be secured. Moorfield said the reason for the efforts to continue is because people are suffering. And in a quote, she says, "There are people that have loved ones that are still here and suffering today, and that's why we get up and do this every day," Moorfield told a few dozen people gathered at Duffy's Tavern in downtown Lincoln, Nebraska. Wishart has tried various times to pass a medical marijuana bill in the legislature, including a 2021 bill that fell 2 votes short of advancing to another debate round. This year, Wishart introduced legislative bill 588, the Medical Cannabis Act, but it did not advance from the Judiciary Committee. Wishart told the Nebraska Examiner that she has a ticking clock this time around, and she knows she has one more shot as a state senator to get medical marijuana over the finish line. She will be term limited next year. She said the choice now is either a ballot initiative with a much broader language because it cannot set specific regulations due to the single subject requirement, or a legislative bill that goes into much more detail, she added. In a quote, she says, "I don't see any chance of the bill passing, so we're going to go with the ballot drive," Wishart said. Governor Jim Pillen said in a statement that he believes in protecting Nebraska children and that legalizing marijuana poses demonstrated harms to our children. Access to medical marijuana should only happen if it has undergone the FDA-approved process, Pillen said, referring to the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. Wishart said she has talked with Pillen about this issue and said the system at the FDA level is broken. For example, marijuana remains a Schedule I drug, the highest classification possible. And she said a majority of states have legalized cannabis without interference from the federal branch and anticipates the initiative will garner statewide support. In a quote, "I'm not a betting person," Wishart told the Examiner, "but if I was, I would wager if it was exclusively the 3rd District that got to vote for it, it would still pass." State Senator Pete Ricketts, Republican from Nebraska, opposed the medical marijuana group's past efforts during his time as governor, and he gained national attention in 2021 when he said, if you legalize marijuana, you're going to kill your kids. Eggers said she just can't get behind that because she knows what is harming her son, who she described as a typical kid who loves flag football and Legos. Oh, look at that, Rochelle. And she also says, I know what is killing my child, and that is having horrific seizures daily for the past 6 years, Eggers said. Leah Post of Springfield attended the launch party Wednesday and said she got involved with the legalization efforts after she became disabled 8 years ago with a rare illness called complex regional pain syndrome, and she went from working full-time as a senior executive assistant to the chief financial officer of a major company and not being able to take a shower and being barely able to get out of bed. In a quote, she says, basically, my illness just stopped me in my tracks, Post said. Hasn't been an easy journey, she added, but she is very hopeful the campaign will be successful and she will be seen simply as a patient. For me, just getting my diagnosis was huge, Post said, but the day I get to use cannabis for it legally, there will be a party, she says. Well, happy day for all the people out in Nebraska that want to bring medical cannabis to the state. And hopefully they're able to secure all these signatures, but we are going to wait and follow along and see what happens. And this is Jason Beck for the High at 9 News Hour. What do y'all think about this? Corn husking weed.
Holy prohibition state Batman. I know
I
think that our medical cannabis program here in Texas is pretty crappy, but what is Nebraska now only one of 2 states that doesn't allow medical cannabis for their citizens?
I think it's 11 states.
Is it 11?
11, yeah.
There's currently 38 states that have medical.
Okay. Well, I was off a little bit.
Them,
but still.
They have like the CBD, right? They've approved like
I think there's 46 with CBD.
Yeah.
All right, so I was wrong. So 12 states, not 11, it's 12.
You were all wrong. And look, I mean, they're
always wrong. And if you check out that poll, it shows you're always wrong. But let's continue.
Never wrong.
This guy's happy with it being regulated by the FDA, but look at some of the crap the FDA has regulated and give us that's in our food and shit like that. Like, what a backwards ass.
Yeah, this governor definitely has his head screwed on a little crooked on here since he wants cannabis to be regulated by the FDA. He's definitely tripping and definitely doesn't understand all the nuances in regards to. And I'd be interested. I don't even want to go on that topic on this, you guys. I don't even want to go there. Really not trying to go there on this one. I was going to just say, the FDA passes all kinds of things that are damaging people every day. So,
well, didn't they just get called out for putting PE in decongestants when it doesn't decongest you?
There we go.
It's like, fuck, you guys, when you want something, you go do it. And then afterwards, it's like, oh, it's kind of embarrassing. Like, why in the fuck would you do this? Well, I don't know. Why do you do anything at the FDA?
Mm-hmm.
I want to
go for it, Tony.
I want to say this in all fairness too, right? A lot of us have to understand that even though we know that this governor is very, very wrong in what it is that he's saying, we do have to understand that it's based on the contingency of his own improper education. How old is this man? Ancient, right? So back in the day, they said a lot of things about marijuana that consequently wasn't true. And when you are older, you don't constantly do research, especially in things that you're not even interested in. Mm-hmm. You just go by what you know and what your parents said and what people said before. And it's not to say that he means to be, an a-hole, or he means to be, so incorrect. It's just saying that he's just not educated on the subject, and maybe someone should be trying to educate him on the subject.
He needs to evolve.
Maybe he'll come up to speed.
Yeah, he needs to evolve on this issue a little bit more. That's for sure.
Evolve on the issue.
Mm-hmm.
He needs to.
Maybe Gretchen can take
It's evolving. It's like what Tony says. He needs to be educated.
That's
but
evolving.
I don't disagree with his stance on the FDA. There will come a time where medicine, don't give me that look, Stone Slade. I see that look.
Yeah, trash.
Medicine needs to be replicable. It needs to meet compliancy. I mean, there's just so many things for patients that they need it. I'm talking from a very medical standpoint. Immune compromised people need specific shit. And just to say, here's some we go at it. That's
so you think the FDA is the
forward.
people is the board that people should be trusting for this when you have?
I think
everything
I think
going
that
on
they
in
will
America.
create an additional agency to work with them to deal with cannabis.
Hold on. So you're
because they have no
advocating for more government.
Jason Beck, I am
I'm just
advocating for
making
patients
sure
to have
I'm hearing you
safe
properly.
medicine that they can get on their doorstep, that they can get in their drugstore, that will make it accessible to everyone. That is what I am arguing for. And if you want to turn it into some bullshit argument about too much government, knock yourself out.
I was just
I'm
asking.
fighting here for the patient.
I gotta go with Jason on this one, man.
Yeah.
The FDA
I'm not
approved strain
I'm not
retardants on a
saying
food.
all
Like, come on.
cannabis
The FDA
is
should not
by
be
the
involved with
FDA.
cannabis at all
I still
whatsoever.
continue on with my stance that it needs to be a nutraceutical.
I'm
You can
I'm with
go
that.
down
I agree
both
with that.
ways.
And
You can
nutraceuticals are
have
not governed by the
the
FDA.
specific FDA approved medicinal products that are for whatever that they like, and then you still have your nutraceutical options and get that naturally consume as you would like.
Who's
You
gonna
still have your
pay?
farmers markets for those folks like Nicole Buffong who want to buy the beautiful sun grown
Oh
right out of
God.
Humboldt and talk to our
Hey,
farmers, not the indoor
you know,
booth that Jason Beck is pushing.
Oh boy.
I want to say that, baby girl, Gigi, I'll
Hmm.
follow you a lot of places, but baby, I can't follow you anywhere that allows the FDA to have further control and trust over anything that is being distributed to the American people. There are countless things that we can point at the FDA did, which was harmful.
Exactly.
us.
Facts.
And they don't even do a real job of seeing what ingredients are or investigating side effects. Like, we know that to be preposterous because we just was told to take something that was experimental, which was severely detrimental to a ton of people. So I'm just against the FDA having any regulatory capabilities over marijuana in any capacity whatsoever, because this agency surely just can't be trusted. I mean, you
Yep.
can't tell someone to harm themselves, but then tell someone that this person should have the capability to tell you how to also be healthy.
And not to mention, you have no legal recourse if it harms you.
Exactly. You'll be suing yourself.
Exactly.
I hear you, and I hear what you're saying, and I'm listening.
Are you picking
and
up
I
what
am
we're putting down?
taking it all in. However, I am also a beast of Washington, and I understand the FDA is not going away. So this industry needs to learn how to fucking play with them.
And all I'm saying is we need to skirt them and not involve them, is what I'm saying.
Okay, well that's not a possibility, Jason Beck.
It is a
So
possibility. It is totally
we're
is.
working with what's really going
And
to
there's not going to be
I'm
any
so
cannabis
sick of
company
this
that's going to be.
kumbaya,
There is
sticking my head in the
zero,
sand. That's why cannabis has
zero,
gotten fucked
absolutely
nowhere.
zero
Right.
cannabis
There's no way to
companies.
trust
The FDA.
There is not one. There is not one single cannabis company in America that is going to be able to pay to have SKUs go all the way through a FDA federally funded study.
Jason Beck, how much money you want to put on this that you can keep the
Not
FDA out of our
one.
hair?
Not
Let's
single
do
one.
this.
I
I would love
I
10,000.
could totally do it. I could totally do
50,000.
it.
Let's bet. Let's put some real
I could
stakes on
totally.
this.
I could totally
You
do it.
really think the FDA is not going to be involved?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a way to do it. Yes,
You
there's a way to
yes?
do it.
All right, how much?
100%. Because hold on. Because cannabis
I'll bet you my
previously,
401k
prior to
the
prohibition,
FDA is gonna be involved.
prior to prohibition, cannabis was in the U.S. pharmacopoeia. So therefore, there is a way for this all to be done outside of FDA. So yes.
Christ almighty. So you're willing, how much money you got, Jason Beck? Let's do this.
You already put up your 401k, Gretchen.
So you gotta match that.
I'll put your
That's what we're gonna
401k up against my
Let's
401k.
match it. Yeah, because I'm sure you have a 401k.
I don't have a dog in this fight, but I can tell you I've been dealing with government bureaucracies long enough to know that once they get somebody funded and a bureaucracy's up and running, they are not going to go away. The DEA ain't going away. The FDA ain't going away. The U.S. Department of Agriculture ain't going away. And they're all going to be involved in this at some level and at some point. And even if we get this descheduled and put into the ATF, someone's going to have to assure that the products are safe and effective for people. And if you over advertise if you say, oh, smoking weeds cures cancer, they're going to shut your ass down for things like that. It's just going to be a reality.
You gotta think abstract. You have to use because it's not a right or left. They're both the same. You have to use the machine tactics against the machine.
That's right.
In order to remove the FDA out of the equation, you have to use what the machine is using, social justice. You have to say that allowing the FDA to be able to govern it would be racist, because a great deal of majority of people who are in the marijuana business and who cultivate marijuana and who recreationally use marijuana as well as for medicinal purposes are black. All you got to do is just play them. It's the same thing they do. They do it all the time. If you want to keep them out, this is exactly what you need to do. And the moment a movement starts like that, and you start saying it's the man, and you involve color, the FDA is going to be like, I don't know if we can touch that this year. I don't know if we can do this year. I'm just saying, listen, Gretchen, listen, to me,
I
I
love you.
know
I love you to death. I
from
don't
what I
see that
see,
argument holding up.
from what I see, I'm not thinking like everyone else is thinking. The FDA is never going to go away. I'm quite certain that they're not. And then maybe they'll make a sister group or organization or something like that. That way they can wiggle their way in there. But if you want to stop the government from doing something, you have to create a movement that will become large enough. And perception is key. This is
And
the
that's
reason why
why
they
the
censor
government
social
has
media
gone away
platforms.
after Black Lives Matter. The government has left everyone alone and said, do what you want to do. That's bullshit.
What you mean? They use Black Lives Matter to fund over damn near $1
I'm
billion.
saying you can get
Black
out there and
movement.
you can push all the movement that you want. It doesn't change dick. Black Lives
That
Matter
doesn't.
didn't change a law,
No,
didn't
come on.
change how
Black
they're
Lives.
defunding the police. Didn't change a
Gretchen.
goddamn
Black Lives
thing.
Matter was not. That was not an organic group. The man who started it was murdered in his car, and then 4 lesbians hijacked it due to the government's part. And Act Blue was the primary funder.
There
Act
we
Blue
go.
funneled all of that money from destroying all those communities, and then gave it to a bunch of people on the Democrat ticket that were running for office because they couldn't raise a ticket to go to the movies, let alone cash to get reelected. That's how they got all the money in the first place. So you cannot equate Black Lives Matter or whatever that trash is to an actual grassroots real black movement that involves black people, that black people have actual dollars in and say in. No one from my community had any say in anything about Black Lives Matter. They destroyed the communities and ran through all of them. I think you have a great misconception of what I'm talking about. I'm talking about something real, not nothing fake. Give me one moment.
Oh boy, look at that mic drop right there.
Well, I stand by. Movements don't get laws changed
Stand on by, walk on by.
until
you know
we
what I
come
mean?
together.
I like
This industry,
to Martin Luther King's
has no
legacy,
interest
baby.
in coming
I like
together,
to
as
Martin Luther
we've all
King's
seen.
legacy.
Let's get
Tell it to
cannabis
Martin Luther
activists
King's
stand
legacy.
together if you want to see some change.
Tell that to Martin. You just said it then. You said that no movement with you said we got to stand together, but that's a movement, Queen. You got to hear yourself.
I get it.
Martin Luther
I
King died,
understand
and
it.
look what changed.
Can you get this community to come together?
This is what I'm doing.
All right,
This is what I do. This is on my end. This is what I do. I'm over there building a whole army of like-minded people who are able to be different, but sit in the same room and come up with ideas to change the world for the better.
Which is what
And
we
all I'm
do
saying is
every day
perception is key.
here on High at 9
Perception
News.
is key. Perception is key. And if you want to stop the government from doing something, that's the reason why they're censoring people out there, because they know that if you have enough influence, you can change the perception.
Mhm.
If you can change people's perception, you can change
Their
people's
minds.
direction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can change their minds. And the government don't like that.
Nope.
I'm just keeping it. I'm somebody who's severely shadow banned because of my content. I've been all over the news. I just did over 20 million views, and no one over here would even know it. It didn't even come from my page. It came from someone else that's sharing my stuff. But the news won't have me on there. It's because they know something organic would be dangerous. It's the same thing they said when they thought about MLK and Malcolm X. They don't want something organic growing. But trust me, they can't stop it. I'm here for a reason.